Right. So our best estimate is that humans are responsible for all of the warming since, since pre-industrial. I kind of think about this like you're a detective investigating a crime, and so if you run across a house that's been burglarized, the house didn't burglarize itself. There has to be an agent that's doing it. And similarly, people talk about natural climate change, but there still has to be a physical mechanism. So, the climate just doesn't change on its own. It changes. There has to be a mechanism that's driving the observed climate change. So we can write down all the suspects. We can look at the paleoclimate record, the geologic record. We understand the physics of climate. We can say, here are the things that we think can change the climate. The sun could be getting brighter. The sun got brighter, that would warm the climate. But we measure the brightness of the sun. We actually have satellites in orbit for the last 45 years that have been measuring solar output, and it's not getting brighter. So, it could be the orbit of the Earth. We know the orbit of the Earth is what's responsible for ice ages or variations in the orbit of the Earth. And but we understand that. We know how much the orbits change. It hasn't changed enough in the last few decades to give us the warming that we're experiencing. So you can, like a detective, you can say, here are the suspects, and I can go over each suspect, and they all have alibis, except for greenhouse gases, which come from human activity. So carbon dioxide is a byproduct of fossil fuel combustion. And we know through simple physical arguments, as well as the paleoclimate record, that changes in greenhouse gases can change the climate. And so we know that greenhouse gases are changing. We know the climate is changing. We understand that it's changing about the right amount given how much greenhouse gases we've added. There are what we call fingerprints in the system. For example, if you add greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, you warm the lower atmosphere, but you cool the upper atmosphere. And indeed, that's what we see. That was predicted, and then it was observed. And so there are all of these things that tell us that that's the guilty party. In fact, I like to make a joke that carbon dioxide is like the world's dumbest criminal. It burglarizes the house, but it leaves its wallet at the crime scene. There are video cameras that show it walking out carrying the stuff. When it's arrested, it has all the stolen stuff in the trunk. It was bragging to its friends that it did it. It's like the evidence supporting carbon dioxide as being the main driver is just overwhelming, and the lack of any competing hypothesis has convinced virtually the entire scientific community that that's responsible for the 100% of the warming.